Hey America, legions of Fitzdog fans, I'm here, your trusted host, and I'm happy to join you today, just fresh off of my trip to Kansas City. Kansas City, here I came. What a great turnout, nice people. Thank you so much for coming out. We did a show in Columbia, Missouri, which is a cool little town, nice theater called the Blue Note. We had... I did like an hour and a half. It was usually I do an hour. I don't think most people want to hear more than an hour of a comedian. And I did an hour and a half, and they seem to be into it. Who knows? I had a lot of new stuff, plus some stuff from my old special, and which I'm editing now. Should be out in June. And then we did the Argosy Casino in Kansas City, where I was told when I checked in that I was not permitted to gamble or drink in the casino. So apparently some comedians have fucked up in the past. That means Bob Zaney was there. I don't know. I'm just pulling a name out of my ass. I don't even know if Bob Zaney gambles, but he's just got the name. He's got the name of a crazy comedian. So I was very happy to just work out at the gym and recorded Sunday papers there and had a good time. Real fun. Sold a lot of pins. Anyway, I got to get focused. All right, it's Monday and I'm jet lagged, so I gotta get my shit together. My wife is away, which is always difficult. I miss her when she's gone. I feel like such a pussy that I can't have her away from me because I'm away from her all the time. It's not fair that I should miss her this much when I'm home. It's different. When I'm away, I'm busy, whatever, but I don't know. She's in New York. Her aunt died about a year ago, and they're settling the estate, going through this house that her aunt lived in, literally was physically born in this house and lived in it every day of her life until she died at 95. So let's just say there was some shit in the rooms and closets, and they've been dealing with that and the bills, and then the house is finally going on the market like in a couple weeks, which is insane. And it's the Bronx, and you think, there's not going to be any money. Like, houses in the Bronx are actually worth money now. It's like the new borough. They wore out Queens, they wore out Brooklyn, Staten Island, nobody's going to fuck with. And now the Bronx is the last borough for the hipsters to come and move into. So they're actually going to get some decent money for it. So maybe we'll get a little taste. Huh? Maybe the Fitzdog will get a little trickle from the house sale. That'd be nice. Pay for my trip to Ireland this summer. And it was had a rough week with Erin. She got hit by a car. She was walking and she got hit by a car and knocked to the ground, had bruises all over her hip and arms, and the car like pulled over and then just took off, just left. And she was left in this fucking side of the street in the gutter. And, people were helping her. And it was just really traumatic. More for me than her. I was really upset for a couple days. And she's fine. Everything's good. No broken bones, nothing like that. But it was shitty. It was very shitty. And I said to her, let's go to the police and have them look at, I looked on the corner, there's cameras in every direction on a street lamp. And she's like, yeah, but they probably weren't watching. Honey, that's not how it works. They're not manning the cameras looking for accidents. They record them. But she didn't care. I don't know. She doesn't care to go after them. I mean, who knows? Why wouldn't they stop though? You got to think maybe it's an undocumented person who didn't want to get busted, or maybe somebody who's already got some felony convictions, whatever. But I don't know. I think we should go after the person that did it. I don't know if it was a man or a woman. I don't know what race. I don't know what age. I'm not thinking in those terms. Just thinking good and bad person. I watched the Conor McGregor series last night. I watched all 4 episodes back to back. Holy shit. Really intense, really personal. Very brave documentary for Conor to put out, because he doesn't come out looking like the end of his career went the way he wanted it to. But you get a sense of a work ethic of a guy that I think, God, if I worked that hard in stand-up, I would be playing fucking arenas right now. I mean, this guy works nonstop, and he pushes himself to the max all the time. Loves his wife, loves his kids, total family man. And I highly recommend it. You should check it out. And then I was walking down the street today, and this guy was calling his dog, and he said, come here, Fido. And I was like, seriously? Fido? That's your dog's name? That's like naming your child, like, you know, what would be Bob? Like Fido? And then I was like, all right, well, this is kind of an interesting angle, is like, your dog doesn't know his fucking name. I had 2 dogs. They never knew their fucking names. I'd say one name, the other one would come. It was just, and so I thought, you can really use your dog to your advantage depending on the situation you're in. You know, like you could be at a park, a dog park, and maybe there's a girl that you're into. She's got a killer body and she's wearing a tight tie-dye shirt. And you just say, to your dog, come here, Jerry. Come on, Jerry. Come here, Jerry Garcia. Come here, fish. With a PH. Come here, fish. Or, I'm striking today. I'm on the Writers Guild strike line today. And I should bring a dog, and just be like, come on, you want to treat Cesar Chavez? Cesar Chavez want a treat. You just want to impress people. Maybe there's a black couple and you're like, sit, homeboy, sit. I don't know. Maybe there's something there. I need some new stand-up material. I'm trying to think about ideas. Maybe that's something. I don't know. So I'm going to the strike today, walking that strike line, baby. And it's fun because you see writers and nobody can ask each other, so what are you working on? Because we're not working on anything. Nobody's making any fucking money. And it could go on for a very long time. So all you can pretty much say is like, hey, man, you got some sunblock? You have a hat? Maybe an umbrella? These motherfuckers haven't seen the light of day in decades, most of them. Because either they're in a writer's room for 12 hours a day or they're sitting in their garage working on their next spec script. And when you're out of work as a writer, you can be out of work for years. So that's why wages have to be good, because it's a rough occupation and you got to put everything into it. And when you're not on a job, you're still working. So, I don't know how some people feel about unions. I read that 71% of Americans support unions at this point, and I think that's changed. I mean, it used to be America was pro-union back in the 30s, 40s, 50s. It created a middle class. It created a living wage. It created health benefits, safety protocols in the workplace, the ability to solve disputes actually better. So it used to be, I think I read that like in 1983, 1 in 5 employees was in a union, and now it's 1 in 10. And don't think, look, if you're anti-union, please consider the possibility that the media is controlled by big business, and big business has a very vested interest in breaking unions. Am I saying all unions are good? No. There's some major faults. As the parent of kids, I found I had issues with the teachers union at times. Some people say it causes higher wages. Well, guess what? Then we need to pay higher wages. Or not higher wages. The prices of things will get more expensive. Yes, because you're paying people a living wage. Just the number, the top 1% own half the wealth in this country. And if you look at the bottom 50%, they are so much more disenfranchised than there used to be. I could speak for writers in general, which I've been a writer for 20 years, is that we are making 25% less as the CEOs are making like 1,000% more. It's just the disparities are ridiculous, and something needs to be done. And we're not getting any revenue on streaming. We're getting a flat buyout up front, nothing on reruns, which is really the money that floats you when you're between jobs and in retirement. Unions allow you to retire with dignity. So you're not saying, hey, welcome to Walmart at 86 years old. Is there something so wrong with that? Yeah, you'll pay a little more, maybe, but unions can, they can keep a middle class, and we're losing the middle class. I don't even know if there is one anymore. So, and I don't want to hear about like the bootstraps argument that everybody should be able to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. People don't all have the same mental health. People don't all have the same, circumstances growing up. You could have a fucked up family. You could be born poor in a bad neighborhood. And sometimes, and the unions can help even that shit out. So anyway, I get it. I get that there's criticisms of the union, but in a world where businesses are being bought by other businesses, multinational corporations set the prices, and they are lowering wages, and they're giving you less customer satisfaction, and something should be done about it. So get online with me today. I'm marching, baby. All right, let's hit some overheards. This one comes from Neff O'Connor. Near the soda fountain at a restaurant in Grapevine, Texas. Excuse me, I'm a little phlegmy this morning. Lady number 1, aw, are those your grandchildren? Lady number 2, yes. Our son married a Japanese girl, but they turned out cute anyway. All right, first of all, that's pretty racist. Second of all, I happen to think Japanese babies may be the cutest things on the planet. They are just gorgeous. And I don't want to say, I'm not going to get into which race's babies are better, but should there be like a Westminster dog show for babies? Like categories like best cooer, best cooing, best breastfeeder, who can suck that titty the best, smell of the shit, which would be based on the diet. What do you if you feed a baby breast milk, that shit smells nice. It's got a little pungent, not bad. But once you introduce that baby formula, man, that thing gets like tire rubber. Nasty. Jim O'Brien said on Abbott Kinney, which is like the hipster block in Venice Beach, hipster douchebag to other hipster douche wagon. He goes, I'm a total speakeasy hound. Man, Gen Z, they love to pretend. They want to go to pretend speakeasy because it makes them feel gritty. And they're always like going to dive bar. Hey, man, there's this great dive. There's no great dive bar. It's called a dive bar because it's not great. That's the point. It has shitty draft beer. It's kind of dirty. It's dark. What does it make you? They just want to feel working class because they're not. They're trust fund kids, and they want to. They wear like boots that they found at a thrift store because they're already beat up by a guy who actually did manual labor in his life. So they wear those, and they always have a little paint spackled on them that they fucking threw on themselves to make it look like they're working. Trucker hats. Drive old pickup trucks, and they eat food from nasty food trucks. Meanwhile, they're like insurance salesmen, or they're trying to package bad loans to poor people. Or they're network executives. They're trying to fuck me. By the way, my union protected me. I got fucked a couple times by studios, and my union went to work for me, and they got me my wages. And I remember the first time the woman, I won't say the woman's name, but I met her, and she was this tiny, kind of meek Asian woman. And I was like, oh, you must have been a cute baby. No, I was like, oh, this isn't going to go well. This chick's not going to fight. She turned out to be an animal. She ripped them apart. The letters that she would CC me on, she didn't fuck around, and we won. I won both times with the union. Try doing that on your own without the power of a union behind you. Here's another one. Mark McNutt. Is that really your name? Overheard between two cashiers working in a liquor store chain. Quote, why do you drive all the way to this location? Isn't there one down the street from your place? And she said, ignorance is bliss. I don't want to know how many people in my neighborhood are alcoholics. Which is a very good point. I think, maybe if you, like, I remember driving down Lincoln Boulevard and there's this place that's clearly a Jack Shack. It's a rub and tug type of joint, massage place. And I saw one of my neighbors coming out. It was like 4 p.m, and he came out and he looked both ways furtively, guiltily. And he had a little bottle of water in his hand. And he ducked into his car and he pulled out. And I was like, you dirty dog. I saw you. And now whenever I see him, I just smile. He just looks at me like, why are you smiling? Because I know. Mark Gustafson said, walking by the Starbucks at my local Safeway on the way out of the store, guy says, I can't believe you were selling coffee, 1-year-old coffee, for $15.95. It's just ridiculous. As if the goddamn teenage girl behind the counter sets the prices for fucking K-Cups. Those K-Cups, by the way, I was reading that, God, I sound like Johnny screaming liberal today, but that the amount of K-Cups that have been used in this country alone could wrap around the planet 10 times. Holy shit. And those things don't biodegrade. And I would say I could cover... From how much coffee I've drank in my life, I'm a coffee addict. I could probably cover from Venice Beach to Kansas City, from here to Kansas City, with cups. Yeah, I'm no solution to the problem. Maybe I got to go back to drip coffee. Come on, Greg. What do they say in the woke community? Be better, do better. God, I hate that phrase. You know what phrase I love? I'm coming to your town. That's right, baby. I will be at Austin at the Mothership this weekend. Well, that's sold out. All shows sold out. Boston at Laugh Boston, June 16 through 17. Tell your friends, bring people out. Let's sell that one out too. It's where I started. I want to get some big crowds. If you live in New Hampshire, Rhode Island, I don't give a shit. Get your ass to Laugh Boston. Pottstown, PA, which I didn't know existed, I guess is west of Philly, about, I don't know, an hour, and it's filled with Amish people, so that should be fun. That's July 20th. Point Pleasant, which is the heart of the Jersey Shore, in the heart of the summer, July 22nd through 23rd, I'll be at Uncle Vinny's, and there's going to be big hair, there's going to be dark tans, and there's going to be a lot of Jaeger bombs. Come be part of the madness. This podcast is brought to you by the fine folks at BetterHelp. How much time in a week do you spend on other people? Do you balance that with the time that you spend on yourself? You know, because you can give so much of yourself that you get burned out. You got nothing left. You got to invest in yourself. And with the investment that you put in through therapy comes back so much because you've got balance in your life. So I have had problems with codependency in my life. Great book by Ann Beatty called Codependent No More. I think it's Ann Beatty. Check it out. Most of us are codependent to some degree, but if you go to therapy, you can start to find out how you can have boundaries, how you can not have your energy sapped by needy people around you. We all have needy people around us. Protect yourself. So I went to a therapist with BetterHelp. I've dealt with a lot of issues, and she's been amazing. If you're thinking about starting any kind of therapy, I would give BetterHelp a try first. It's entirely online, so that's convenient and flexible. You fit it to your schedule. To start out, you fill out a little questionnaire so that they can match you with somebody, a licensed therapist who is exactly right for you. If they're not, you switch. You go to another one. They don't care. No charge. Just find somebody better. Not better, but different. There's a fit. Find more balance with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com BetterHelp.com/Fitzdog. Today, get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Fitzdog. All right, here we go. Let's get into my guest today. He's a rock and roll star of comedy. He's a comics comic. Every comic respects this guy, but he's also a big draw. He's insane. He's got a new special called Shocks and Struts that's out there. You know him from Right Now Kapow, a series he did. He was on Paradise I think he's still on Paradise PD doing a voice. He's had a ton of specials, and he's got a podcast, couple podcasts. We talk about his podcast on my podcast, so we'll do that. Please welcome my conversation with the great Kyle Kinane. My guest in the bowels of the Comedy Store right now is a gentleman named Kyle Kinane, who has lived in LA for how many years?
I was here for 17 years.
17 years?
Yeah. That's
no shit.
Yeah.
Damn. And he was not a store guy, as I was not for about 15 years.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of had a porn coke vibe for a long time.
When I got here in the clubs where it was the Improv, I mean, it's still the Improv, the Laugh Factory, and the Comedy Store.
Yeah.
And I knew folks, like a bunch of Chicago folks had a show running at the Improv, and that was kind of the hang.
Yeah.
And the Laugh Factory is what it is.
Yeah.
And then here it was pretty rough.
It felt like if your spot was at 10:15, you were still here at 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah, it felt like the place somebody sent you to get them drugs. I was like, oh, you're going to meet a guy. You'll know who it is. Does he have a name? Yeah. Don't ask names, but you'll know who it is.
Yeah. He's the guy who's the funny one in the parking lot. Because it's like that back patio that's kind of dimly lit, and it's like an alley. It feels like an alley.
Yeah, the vibe was weird.
Yeah.
But it's has since turned around.
Where'd you buy your drugs when you were here?
I never bought them. They were just around.
Yeah.
I was never like, I'm not buying drugs, but then it's like, well, somebody's got something. I'm like, well, a little bit. I'm not trying to have a heart attack. I'm just trying to stay up for another 45 minutes. That's all.
Yeah, I think my drug use was probably similar. We'd go in on coke once in a while, but in general, it was done when somebody had it and they offered you some.
Yeah, it was really the kindness of strangers is how I did drugs.
Yeah.
And I was never I was a weed guy when I was younger, but I can't be social.
Yeah.
Like, I have to hide. I remember one Halloween party out here. I was with Matt Bronger.
Sure.
Right? Am I right? I didn't know how far back I could be on the mic. He found me in the parking garage. So I decided I was going to get real stoned. And I was just sitting between cars in the parking garage. He's like, you all right? I'm like, I'm fine as long as everybody leaves me alone. I'm having a great time down here. I can hear the music. I'm fine. Just please leave me alone. Like, that's what weed does to me now.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, we can't mess with
Yeah, weed for me is when I'm home. I don't smoke weed in public. I can't do it around other people.
No. Do you still drink at all?
No, I haven't had a drink in 23 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good on you.
And thank you. And I didn't smoke weed for a lot of those years. And then maybe 10 years ago, I started just having a little at night to help me sleep.
That's it.
Perfect.
Just give me some dreams.
Yeah.
Nothing to make. I don't get the kind of. It's not creative for me. No. I'm a fucking idiot, and I know it. So then I get self-conscious about feeling like an idiot.
Yeah.
And it's hell. It's always hell.
I've always felt like I've never thought that I was so intelligent that I could afford to just lob off an extra 10 IQ points by being high. I feel like when I'm at a party with people, I'm really struggling to connect, pay attention, remember names, be intelligent. And if I'm high, I'm like, I have no chance of doing any of those things.
The remembering names has been gone for me for at least 5 or 7 years.
Yeah.
Like, I can't remember a name. And I thought, I'm like, well, I'm going to just, instead of trying to dance around it, like, oh, I don't remember, I'm just going to be like, hey, I'm Kyle. Have we met before? And it's always somebody, it's like, yeah, about 7 or 8 times, man. I'm like,
yeah.
I thought I was getting around it by being honest, by being like, I'm just going to be straightforward.
Yeah, dude, that wrecks my night. I used to do the same strategy, and then the rest of the night, I carried around. Why is it that I feel so ashamed and guilty that I forgot somebody's name when it's like, there's something about like guys like, Patton Oswalt who just remembers the names of every character in every movie, dialogue, people, and it's not fair that he's considered smarter than I am because he has a photographic memory.
But being a fan of something is different than just knowing random people you meet. Because if you meet somebody, say you meet somebody at the Comedy Store, it's the only time you've ever met them.
Yeah.
And then you see him at Ralph's.
Right.
That's a misstep in logic for me.
Yeah.
So even if I know that person well at the Comedy Store, doesn't mean I'm going to know him at Ralph's. That's not my Ralph's friend.
They're breaking the matrix.
Yeah. You're throwing glitches at me. You're not my grocery store friend. You're my comedy club friend.
Yeah.
So
right.
I'll find excuses for myself like that.
Yeah, I did one. I was at an agency. I'm not going to say the name of the agency. And it was one of those agencies where they had this person was in charge of casting.
Yeah.
And then they represented Disney and NBC. And there was another one. So you had like 5 agents. So I could never remember who was who. But I remember that there was a black woman and her name was Laura. And then there was another agent who had an assistant who was black named Michelle. And I walked into the agency one day and I said, "Hey, Michelle," the assistant name. And she goes, "No, I'm Laura, your agent." And I was like, and I said to my other agent, "It's been good working with you, but I think I got to move on."
All right, guys. Well, hell of a run. I did that. I was in New York last week. I did the same thing where it was a Middle Eastern guy. He's like, "Oh, we worked together in Bloomington, Indiana." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I know the Middle Eastern guy from Bloomington."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, Moanad." He's like, "No, it's he told me his name." I'm like, "Well, fuck." That's all I just said. I'm like, "Well, fuck me. Sorry, buddy. I screwed up the
and
two."
And the thing is, what's the risk reward on had you remembered that name
I was so proud of myself because we're talking. I'm like, I think I remember a name now.
Yeah.
And now I kick myself back in the gutter because of that. So
yeah.
That's right. I like the agency names, by the way. It's always like Apex, Ascent. It's always like the most inoffensive term for progress.
Right.
And it's like, can somebody have one fun
Mosaic.
name? Yeah. Well, yeah, Mosaic. I'm at Vector.
Generate.
That was my old one.
Oh, really?
That was my old management, yeah. Like,
I know. What about...
These are the people that wrangle creative types.
Yeah.
Get a copywriter.
They used to be more edgy, right? It was like Matador.
Oh, Matador's good. That's like a record label.
Yeah.
Like record labels sound cool. Agency should sound better.
Right.
Yeah.
Arista. I wonder what that means. Probably Greek for like ball sack or something.
Is that gone? Isn't Arista gone?
That's probably.
Chrysalis.
Chrysalis?
That was one of the old labels.
Well, you're with 800-pound Gorilla. That's kind of badass.
I sure am, yeah.
Yeah.
That's true, yeah. Well, that's a label. That's not an agency.
Yeah.
Labels are fun names, but...
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I like that they got the basement done up. I was down here before, and I did a podcast with a gal that was supposed to be haunted. The Comedy Store was supposed to be haunted.
A lot of stories about that. Well, I guess it was originally this was a mob joint.
Yeah, it was Ciro's, wasn't that?
Ciro's.
Ciro's?
Right. And there was apparently from here, there was a tunnel that went under Sunset Boulevard and came out where, remember, it used to be was it the Hard Rock? Not the
House of Blues was across the street, yeah.
It was across the street. And that there was an entrance into that building so that if the cops came, you could escape.
Back when you could just use a tunnel to get away from the cops.
Right.
You dupe them with a tunnel.
Hey, where is he?
There's supposed to be underground tunnels all in the Hollywood Hills. There's supposed to be all the secret weirdo spots. I forget whose house it is that has them.
Oh, really?
I can't remember whose house it was. Supposed to have like getaway tunnels and.
Damn, I would love that.
I like all the construction in the Hollywood Hills that just paid for in cash, nothing permitted.
Yeah.
Like there's some weird stuff going on up there.
Yeah. There was I went to a party once at the guy he was Saget's producer. It was Bob Saget's like 60th birthday party. Or should I say, 60th. And his producer, the guy who produced Full House, actually had 3 network primetime sitcoms on at the same time that he had created. So he had crazy money. This is back when we had a sitcom on and you were a producer. It was just like printing money.
Yeah.
So you go to his house and it had this crazy basement. And then if you went up to the 3rd floor, you could go out a door into a slide there was a water slide into the pool, which had grottos and all this shit.
Oh, so it's like, did he have kids or was it like a horny house?
Horny house.
Oh, okay.
No kids.
Okay, one of these kind of, was it Bryan Singer type of parties?
Yeah.
One of these like,
You're right.
guy,
Yeah.
bedroom slide to the pool? Come on, guy.
Yeah. That's a bidet. That's all that is.
Yeah, making squeaky clean TV. Come on down to my horny fuck house in the hills.
Yeah, and it's heated to, it's like 87 degrees.
So you don't have a slide at your house, is what you're saying?
I had I live in Venice, so the yard is very small, but we had, when my son was little, we built a tree fort together. They went up a tree onto the roof, and then every year we just kept adding more, so it had like a rock climbing wall and a slide.
Oh, just Winchester Mansion, the tree house?
What's the Winchester Mansion?
Oh, the house, it's like in the Bay Area, is the heiress to the Winchester rifle fortune. And she thought that if she kept adding onto her mansion, the ghosts couldn't get her. So it's like doors that just fall out of the fourth story, staircases that go to just nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, she just built it out of like this compulsion and lunacy.
Yeah, but mine was that I had scripts due and I wasn't writing them, so I would just go outside and do some woodworking.
Oh, so you have to have your activity, your what's the term I'm looking for? My brain is fucking shot.
It was masturbatory. It was just wasting time and energy.
Well, that's what I mean. Why can't I remember the word for when you're wasting time? Procrastinating.
Procrastination.
Procrastination. Yeah. As long as I'm doing something else.
Right.
It's not really procrastinating.
And it
I'm being
feels
progressive.
good. You work with your hands a little, right? No. You have a beard. I just assume you work with your hands a little bit.
No, I don't have a chin is what I have. So that's why I have a beard. I didn't forget to shave because I was busy whittling a canoe out of a log. I know what my face looks like, and it's upsetting. So that's why.
But so what do you do in Oregon then with your hand? I mean,
what do you do in Oregon with your hands?
I mean, what do you mountain bike or something?
Yeah, bike riding. I'll play some guitar. I'm not like every time I've tried to do something like fix something in the house, I've just made it so much worse. Right. And it pisses me off because I want to do basic things. Like I changed a drain in a sink once and that was good. But I did that in a when I was living with Bronger here. The faucet was leaking in an apartment. When you just call a guy, fix my thing. I'm like, I'm going to do this. Yeah. You know what? I'm going to just tighten it. Never knew you had to shut the water off first. Oh. So I flooded the kitchen in my apartment. And Bronger's sitting there. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm going to fix the sink here. And there's water coming out. I'm like, that's like residual. Yeah. I said that. Like that word means anything. That's residual. That's the pipe sweating. Something I heard somebody else say. And didn't realize I unscrewed the faucet, like the handle. It shot off. The water came out of the faucet. I'm like, well, that doesn't seem. Wow. And I didn't know to turn the water off. And we lived above the building manager and started dripping into his house.
Oh, shit. Then you got to deal with the black mold for the next 5 years.
Well, we weren't long for that apartment. Yeah. So. Yeah. But that kind of stuff, like why? I mean, it was before YouTube, and I wasn't really shown how to do a lot of this stuff. So I'm like, well, I got to figure it out. Yeah. Yeah, I the worst is you try it, you fail, then you call the handyman and you feel like a complete cuck as he walks in front of your wife and fixes the stuff you ruined. That happened putting in a doorknob, like a electronic key doorknob that didn't line up with the slot, and I kept locking ourselves out. Yeah. She's like, I'm just going to call a guy. I'm like, I don't want to be home. Do you want me to be home? Right. Can I be somewhere else? Yeah. This guy fondles our knobs while I'm home. This guy's here knob fondling for money. Not interested.
Yeah. But my father didn't do shit either. I wasn't raised. I mean, if you were raised in a home where stuff got fixed and you picked stuff up. Yeah. And my father was not home a lot. When he was not doing shit.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think my dad enjoys the fixing thing. So he knows the way he's going to fix it might not be the proper way. So he's not going to teach me to do it the wrong way. Yeah. He's just like, well, you'll figure it out the way I figured it out. By failing a lot. I'm like, all right. Yeah. Are you a handy guy? Do you do stuff?
There's stuff that I've learned, like owning a house, you're forced to learn some stuff.
Yeah, I'm not there yet.
And I built a fence. I'm good with wood because wood is forgiving. You know, it's not going to leak into your walls and cause. It's not going to be a gas leak. It's not going to be a roof that drains.
It's not electricity.
Yeah, it's just a piece of wood. If you fuck up, you pull the nails out. You do it again.
Yeah.
You know, I got a jigsaw. So you need like 3 tools: a jigsaw, a hammer, and a screwdriver. You know, a drill gun, and it's very rewarding. I loved building the fence, and it's still there. You know, it's holding up.
Standing straight.
Standing straight.
Yeah.
Nobody's broken into the house. It's kept out intruders. And so it's done its job. But no, I wish I could do more, especially having a son. I feel like I've let him down a little bit.
Yeah, what are you going to pass on as a professional comedian?
I got him a job as a PA. My friend's a producer, and he's just graduating college, so he's got a PA job. And he's going to be shooting with Kanye West tomorrow. So he's very excited.
Kanye West is still making things.
It's
what's this?
It's a documentary about Twitter. And
I was like, what's these Kanye West projects that you're setting your son up?
I think he's still relevant to Twitter. Is he allowed on Twitter, or was he bounced? I
don't know. I thought Elon was
let everybody back in.
Loves free speech unless it's about him, and then he
right. So,
and I thought he was off because he was saying all this crazy anti-Jewish stuff.
Yeah.
But he's a mentally ill person that is so rich, nobody's going to take care of him.
Right.
Like nobody's going to come close and be like, all right, we're locking you in. We're going to take care of you. You're just, you're so rich. You're just going to get to be crazy in front of everybody.
Right. Anyway. I know. It's actually very sad. I felt the same way about...
Hope your son has a good experience on set.
Yeah. Well, he won't show up. Kanye won't show up. I guarantee it. What are the odds on him showing up for a documentary shoot? 50-50?
Oh, that's true.
But then I felt the same way about Britney Spears when she was spiraling down. It's like, this is just sick. They're following her with cameras, waiting for her to shave her hair off or crash the car.
Yeah, it's not a very cool, like... I remember, I'm sure you've seen paparazzi running around town.
Yeah.
I remember seeing one guy, I'm like, I thought, like, this guy probably robbed somebody. Nobody's, like, trying to hurdle bushes like this through yards. And then I saw the camera, I'm like, you loser.
Wow. Who was he following?
I don't even know. He thought he was getting away around these houses.
Maybe it was you.
I'll give you the picture. I'll take one with you. Nobody needs this shit.
I know that's the skill, is that most of these people are calling their agent calls the paparazzi and says they're going to be eating at the Palm tonight.
But it's one of those, like, when you hear, like, a paparazzi photographer got hit by a car and died because they were running across the 405 to get a picture of Justin Bieber. I'm just like, so long.
Yeah.
I was trying to make the joke. People weren't laughing at it, but like how everybody's against gun violence, but then like somebody shot a YouTube prankster a few weeks ago. Yeah, nobody's real loud about that one. Nobody was mad about, like, see, it's gotten out of hand. Everybody's like, well,
yeah.
Right. I just want to go to Target and Peace, man. I just want to be at Best Buy without somebody with an air horn and a video camera. Yeah, that guy got shot. Okay, life's
yeah.
You chose a risky profession, being a public prankster. Not that heartbroken.
Yeah, isn't that the whole idea of pranks? Is that sometimes you get shot? That's the fun. That's why we watch.
That's how we gauge that. Yeah, post that up.
Yeah,
post that video. I'll watch your channel now.
Post that with a message that says "Watch to the end."
Yeah. I'll entertain that. But yeah, those paparazzi dudes are like, is it as bad now? Didn't they kind of? It doesn't. Well, I just don't. God, there's no better feeling in life than like being at the grocery store and seeing People magazine and not knowing anybody on the cover of it. I'm like, I'm doing it right.
Yeah, you win.
I did a good job. I don't know who was on Us Weekly. I'm like, I don't know any of these people. All right.
I wouldn't know somebody from a reality show if I was punching them in the face. Like any of those Bachelor. Like I know grown, intelligent human beings that watch The Bachelor a lot. Like Howard Stern loves it.
When you know it's because it's release. Somebody, the quote about reality television was great. That everybody watching it is saying, "Who watches this?"
Yeah, right.
And now you can like whatever you want to like. I watch 90 Day Fiance, if I'm being honest.
Do you really?
Yeah, because it's trash.
Wait, what's the premise?
It's they have 90 days to get this visa. It's an overseas marriage. These people meet each other. It's usually either a creepy dude from the United States that meets a Filipino just out of her teen years. Uh-huh. Yeah, creepy that way. Or if it's like super surgeried up South American women like nabbing these dudes. Or it's like lonely women that are getting catfished by dudes.
Oh, no kidding.
Not even catfish. The one lady got catfish with this picture. Like this guy was sending her pictures of models. He's from India, and then she meets him, and he's not the model, and she's like, "Well, whatever."
No shit.
I'll take you.
Really?
Yeah, just some 65-year-old woman from Palm Springs. Like, I'll take you, you little Indian man. Come on.
That's a good ending. No one saw that coming.
Yeah, he's like, this is going to be the basis for a great relationship.
Yeah.
You've just been lying to me from across the globe, but sure, I guess I'll pack up and move to India for you.
Yeah, right.
And so I watched that because I'm like, these are...
That's a good premise.
It's a bit of a freak show, yeah.
That's like when I was writing for a sketch show, and this is back before when reality was just breaking. It was like Survivor was on, and Jersey Shore maybe was on, and we were trying to, and we wrote a bunch of sketches about, the absurd reality shows of the future. Oh, every one of them has come true.
Yeah,
and that was one of them. I didn't know 90 Day Fiance existed, but ours was called Green Card, and it was you marry somebody for a green card.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now my girlfriend watches Love is Blind. I think that's the one where they meet each other talking, and they agree to get married without seeing each other.
Does that ever work?
I'm not watching that one.
Yeah.
I don't even know if this qualifies for reality. I watch a show called Alone. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I love Alone. I saw that.
Show's great.
That show's fucking great with the Wolverines. Are the Wolverines, is that what those little animals are?
I mean, they got Wolverines, bears, badgers. Yeah, depending on where they're at.
Yeah. That's
a show that, because I mean, I don't even want to make like promo videos. Yeah. Now, these guys, not only are they starving in the woods for a month, they also have to set up their own shots. They have to worry, is the bounce getting enough light while I eat the guts out of this rabbit?
Right.
They also have to worry about the battery life on their GoPros. That's an added headache for these guys.
That's a good point. Yeah. It's the shooting yourself that makes it so prohibitive. Yeah,
I'm going to throw up because I ate rotten fish that I didn't dry appropriately, but I also got to set up. This is the money shot. I wonder if they get bonuses. Like if you get footage of yourself barfing, we'll throw in an extra grand. There's got to be something, some incentive to keep them taken.
Yeah. I saw the first 2 seasons of that, and that was very intense. Like, hoping to catch a squirrel for that was your meal for 3 days. Was like nabbing a squirrel with a net you had to make yourself.
Yeah, some twine if they run through it. Yeah, I like that show because that puts a lot of things in perspective for me. First off, having none of those skills whatsoever, but I watch it like I'm gonna remember that. Just in case.
Yeah.
Just in case the shit goes down.
I live in Oregon. There could be an apocalypse.
I'm gonna need to know which. I do identify reindeer moss pretty often now. It's all over the yard. I'm like, if we do run out of groceries, we got a lot of reindeer moss. Or we could just go to the store, but we got reindeer moss aplenty.
We got mushrooms. We may get stomach cramps. May die.
I'm not sure what kind they are.
Yeah.
Bountiful squirrels.
Yeah. So are there survivalists around you in Oregon?
I mean, I'm close to Portland. So I'm just in the suburbs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'll go out. It's still Oregon. Like rural Oregon still got some wild cards. I wound up getting a couple guns over the past few years, and I'll go out and shoot them. And it's like you go to like government websites, like where can I go shoot legally? And they're like, yep, you just go out to this rock pit, try not to hit the dirt bikers. I'm like, what? Nice. Try not to hit the dirt bikers? Yeah. Oh yeah, because the rock pit's down here, but the dirt bikers are driving over the top of it like a carnival game. So they're all brightly colored. You're like, I'll try.
Yeah. But that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's kind of just this. It's Bureau of Land Management. They're just like, but whatever you want to do it.
Yeah.
Try not to be an idiot, but you're out here dirt biking and shooting guns.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like... I just feel like L.A., I live on the west side of L.A. It's so restrictive. Everything you do is
Yeah.
governed. You know, like we have a rental unit, and it's like we had somebody move in, and we needed them to move out because they were a disaster and they were destroying the place.
Really?
And to get them to move out.
Can I ask what made them a disaster?
Oh, the neighbors were all complaining, you know, up all night. The house was destroyed, hardwood floors ruined.
Really? This was on your part of your property?
No, another property.
Oh, okay.
And so we wanted to evict them, and it cost us tens of thousands of dollars. They have
Really?
all the rights. You have no rights. And meanwhile, it's rent controlled, so it's not like I'm making a killing on this thing.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to find somebody who's a decent person, and we can break even. And at the end of 30 years, I own the property. I'm not trying to like cash out on anybody.
I'm surprised it takes that. I mean, I know obviously like there was a big scuffle with landlords over pandemic and everything, like trying to just boot people out because they can get more money for places.
Right.
But if it's obvious, like here's all the rules that you broke.
Yeah.
You've broken a contract to maintain this place.
Right.
I don't know why that should be like.
Because they just, I mean, look, there's so much homelessness on the West Side. I think they're hyper vigilant about nobody being thrown out that absolutely doesn't have to be thrown out. But what they did was people that had garages, they allowed everybody to convert them into rental units.
ADUs, yeah.
What do you call it? ADUs?
Additional dwelling unit
Right.
is what I've.
Which is good. That's gonna create a lot of apartments for people.
Yeah.
They're putting up, you know, every time they say they're going to build low-income housing, they build it, and then it's like, $1 million a unit.
Yeah.
That's low income.
Low income for LA.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like, well, you can have squatters' rights too if you haven't abandoned, like you haven't been in your house for X amount of time and somebody just lives in there and then they have squatters' rights. Like,
Yep.
Yeah, I'm all for like remedying the homeless thing, but like you can't just live in my house because I was on vacation for a while. You can't just have it. You don't get to just have my house.
Yeah, right.
But it's weird, because now we're in Oregon. We lived in Beechwood Canyon before, and it was. We had a decent apartment, but then we got up to Oregon. Now it's like I didn't realize I had tinnitus until I moved to the burbs.
No
'cause
shit.
It's finally quiet enough.
Wow,
I'm like,
that's
what's that
funny.
noise? I'm like, oh, it's my brain.
That's hilarious.
Tight. Cool. Didn't know that's what that was because it's so. A stick breaks outside. I'm like, they're out there. They're trying to break in. Like nobody's trying to break in. They were actively trying to break in LA. I'm like, it's a good lock. Go back to bed. Sit on my balcony and watch people check door handles. Go through our mailbox.
Yeah. So the car alarms and the sirens and the helicopters drown out your tinnitus.
God, now it's if there's one sound that's maddening. It was the symphony of leaf blowers and car alarms and screaming and helicopters.
Right.
That all kind of it all just eventually. I live kind of close to the 101, which is like if you tell yourself it's the ocean, then you can kind of accept the sound of traffic. The horns ruin it, but just the sound of traffic kind of sounds like.
Sounds like you gave up a great place, man.
It was a really good place too. Believe it or not, for LA standards, it was good. We had a garage, it was 2 bedroom, 2 bath for like $3,000. I'm sure it's not that now, but
right. Yeah, it's funny. I live in Venice, and I'm so sick of people saying to me, "Where do you live?" I live in Venice. Oh, I'm fucking homeless, huh? It's like, hey, fuck you. You know, we got a great thing going on the West Side. There's tons of artists. There's a lot of diversity. We got the beach. We got surfing. We got the skateboard park. We got, people that give a shit about each other, neighbors that are really, like, close.
That's cool.
So, I don't know. I'm a little sick of people shitting on Venice, and I'm sure you're sick of people shitting on Portland.
Well, yeah, like, who's shitting on Venice? Like, is it people that are in other parts of L.A.?
Yeah.
'Cause it's not great anywhere.
Right.
It looks, it looks a little bit cleaned up. Well, I haven't been to the underpasses. We live by, like, the Gower underpass.
Uh-huh.
And that was getting pretty gnarly. It's one thing, like, it's like, okay, homeless people, but it's when it's the unchecked mental health and, like, oh, it's a homeless guy, and he's got a brick, and he's throwing it at cars. And you're like, okay, this is bad.
Well, I think what happened, where the boiling point was when the pandemic happened and the cops were basically told, but they didn't know how the virus was spread. And so they were just told the cops, just leave everybody alone. And so for a year and a half to 2 years, nobody was told to move their tent or move anything. And it just got entrenched. And so the beach, I'm sure you saw the pictures of the beachfront in Venice. It was like literally the bike path had tents bordering it on either side for like 2 miles straight. So that's all. They did a really good job of like placing people in interim housing. Some of it was motels, but at least it was like something that the government was paying for that they could live in.
Yeah.
They got people into rehabs. They reunited some families together. And now it's like cleaned up. It's not bad. Venice isn't bad anymore.
How often do you go down to the boardwalk?
When it's nice out, like once a week.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I play paddle tennis down there. They got these courts. You play paddle tennis.
Is that pickleball?
It's like pickleball. Same size court, but you play with a tennis ball. And then we play beach volleyball on Sundays. A bunch of comics have played forever.
I didn't have you pegged for a beach volleyball
Beach volleyball guy, yeah.
Wow, Greg Fitzsimmons, beach volleyball. That's not what I thought I was going to find out with this one.
Right.
Little sunburn magnet Greg Fitzsimmons, a beach volleyball player.
And he doesn't drink.
And he doesn't drink. Yeah.
Years.
You're out there living this Bud Light commercial and you're not even drinking.
It's I have no business being on. And you can see from my wrinkles and I've been in the sun a lot in my life, which was
I've done it too. Oh man, it's all discolored.
Yeah.
I'm not like this won't fall out. Like I'm not bald enough.
Yeah.
I'm like just go already.
And you got some like it's like they're protesters.
No, it's like it gives me this wispy halo now, like the old Catholic stained glass where the halo is just the circle around the back of the head. Like that's what my hair is doing if I let it grow out.
Yeah, maybe you should dye it golden. Go for it.
Just really, really embrace it.
Yeah, carry a wand or whatever those saints carry.
They got a few of them.
Yeah, it's got to be tough to become a saint because they have to prove that 3 miracles happened. Not only did you have to be like a Mother Teresa type, which means you are helping poor, smelly, dirty people all the time. And meanwhile, Mother Teresa, I remember, you're a little younger than me, but she was a rock star in the 80s. She was like...
I know that's the name you go to for stuff. But didn't things come out that maybe she wasn't great?
Racist?
Was that what it was?
I would guess.
That's what I'm going to go with. Unfounded. I'm going to say that Mother Teresa's racist.
Or I'm going to say one of her miracles was that she wasn't after being around all those poor people in India.
I was going to say, how you going to be... Yeah. Nope, I still like him. Oh, my God. God bless.
That's a fucking miracle.
You have to prove that... You have to prove that you witnessed 3 miracles?
No, you have to have been the cause or performed 3 miracles, which that's a pretty high threshold. Miracle.
3?
Yeah.
How many people are sitting at 2 trying to drum up the 3rd?
Right. That's when they start saying, like, I don't know, he did this skateboard thing. It was unbelievable. He'd ride the rail and...
I give it to him.
Yeah, give him the 3rd.
We need people to be excited about Catholicism again. Interest is waning.
Yeah. We haven't had a saint in like 3 centuries.
Yeah, we need somebody young.
Yeah. And can we go diversity on this one?
Yeah, let's get Tony Hawk. Okay.
No, I think they got plenty of Tonys. They got plenty of Italian guys.
Yeah, who do we get? That was like, I was talking about the Insane Clown Posse.
Yeah.
And one of their albums, at the very end of it, they're like, oh, the whole thing, we've been tricking you. We're actually Christian this whole time.
No.
And I think it's hilarious.
Really?
Yeah.
Was that true, or you think that was a bit?
I don't know, but either way.
It works.
That's...
Yeah.
Like, imagine if, like, Kiss just did that. Oh, by the way,
all right.
These have all had, Jewish protest songs interlaced within all our tunes. You're actually now honorary Jews for having been in the Kiss Army.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I guess, the Beastie Boys, weren't they all Jewish? They were like nice Jewish boys.
They were nice Jewish boys, and they they became Buddhist.
Yeah, that's right.
And they retroactively apologized for all the songs they were singing about ladies and genitals.
Well, especially since I'm friends with the woman who was their original drummer.
Oh, yeah.
Kate. And they got a manager who said, look, you guys want to be the frat guy?
Yeah.
You got to get rid of Kate Schellenbach. She's holding you back. And so they kicked her out. And then I read one of their biographies. Did they do a memoir as a group, or was it one of them in particular?
They had a documentary a couple years ago.
Okay.
But I don't know about a book.
But they came out and very profusely apologized to Kate about kicking her out of the band.
Yeah, they're really introspective for what you know of the Beastie Boys. They're really introspective and thoughtful guys.
Yeah.
And then, they're talking about that whole era of like when it was Fight for Your Right to Party, they were kind of making fun of frat guy stuff, but then that's who wound up liking the music. And they're like, also, of course we had 20-foot tall inflatable dicks on stage. You just gave a bunch of 20-year-olds millions of dollars. Of course that's what we're going to do.
Yeah. I saw a video of them on TikTok or something the other day, and it was them and I don't know if it was an award show or if it was one of their own concerts, but they were fucking ripping it, and they cut to the crowd, and it was like Jay-Z going like this. And,
it was like the
Ice Cube.
Yeah, it was like the BET Awards or something.
Yeah.
So it was real ballsy. It was like a hip hop awards or something.
Yeah.
And then
but it's amazing how the hip hop community embraced them pretty early on. There wasn't like a resentment, like, who are these fucking white guys co-opting, our music?
Yeah. Well, I think rap was also relatively new when they came around with it. And they see, from New York, the real thing. You know Ian Carmel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he has a great joke about it. He's like, I love rap. We just need we need some Jewish, like, heavy hitters. Like, we have the Beastie Boys, but, their rap is kind of like, pizza's nizza. Like, he's like, I want something, like, with a little more street cred. But whatever his line was for, like, the Beastie Boys, like, something like, nee. Like, they're great, but we need something that's a little more heavy hitting.
That is interesting. Their sound was so... like, it was so encompassing of the hip-hop beats and the scratches and all that stuff. But it was about Fred Flintstone. And,
they're silly.
Yeah.
Silly skateboard punk rock dudes.
Yeah.
And they said, what is it? Paul's Boutique would be the most expensive album ever made if you made it today because of how all the samples they had on it, if they had to pay for all those samples.
Right. Well, yeah, and Sounds of Science was a Beatles sample.
Yeah. It was so much of it was they just went nuts on samples.
Yeah.
I realized there was I couldn't find this Ghetto Boys song that samples Sweet Home Alabama, but it's them just rapping foul shit over it. I'm like, it's probably because every time that sample comes up, it gets flagged.
Yeah.
So I think I had it from like an old LimeWire download.
All right.
It's the only way you can get that stuff.
You ever seen a comedian well, you've seen comedians steal. But what about a guy whose whole act is he tells you whose bit it is. And he doesn't do a 5-minute routine, but like quotes great jokes or bits from other comics and travels around and he shares the money with the people that he borrows the jokes
Well, I
from.
believe you're describing Gallagher too. I believe you're bringing Gallagher, a performer at Gathering of the Juggalos, by the way.
A what?
He performed at the Insane Clown Posse Summer Festival.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, I forget what. They've had a lot of comedians. Like legit, they had Bobcat Goldthwait, they had like Hannibal Buress back in the day, Joe DeRosa, they had all these guys. But apparently somebody's like, he was Gallagher smashing all his fruit, and that's going crazy because they're ICP fans are throwing shit. And then he went into his actual. This is like late term Gallagher,
right?
When he was also going to tell you how the world worked.
Yeah, because I remember kind of liking him early on, and then I remember
as a kid I loved him. Yeah,
when I got older, like he came out on one special in roller skates and talked politics the whole time.
Yeah,
and I was like, who the fuck is this guy?
There's it was whoever's left out of Bob and Tom that show.
The DJs in Minnesota.
Yeah, Indiana. But one of them,
Indiana.
I was talking about Gallagher. He's like, he actually did a show in Spanish here in Southern California. Doesn't know Spanish. Just figured like, well, I can get their money. So he just learned some rudimentary phrases in Spanish.
Yeah.
And did a show. And of course, it was terrible.
Yeah.
And I think it was the LA Times wrote a review of it. Shredded it. Because he's basically just up there. He's like, mucho tobacco to Paquito dinero.
Yeah.
And then the smashing the fruit part, which was not well thought out because the author of the article was like, you're doing this show for a lot of day laborers, or relatives of day laborers, and you're
disrespecting their
just
product.
taking the literal fruits of their effort and just destroying it in front of them. And they didn't understand what he was saying because his Spanish was bad, and they just smashed fruit in front of him.
That's hilarious. With a hammer, no less.
Yeah.
When the other guys are swinging the hammers.
Yeah, why are we here for this?
That's hilarious.
No.
Yeah, and then Gallagher 2 came out, and he basically did his brother's act, but I think he paid him for it. And then eventually Gallagher wanted him to stop doing it.
Yeah.
And they got into a major lawsuit, and they ended up in court against each other.
There was some dispute. That's, you know what? That deserves a biopic, I think.
Yes.
I want to see the Gallagher story.
Oh, Kyle Kinane.
The hair's already there.
Yes.
I don't even have to fake it with the hair. I'll just grow it out and dye it black.
Fuck, man. That would be good.
I wanted that one. There was I worked with a Sam Kinison impersonator.
Oh, yeah?
So you're talking about, this was years ago when I was still living outside of Chicago. And I got booked. This guy was named Screamin' Sam. And he booked, and he was like, he looked like him and he sounded like him. But he would just do like a couple Sam Kinison bits and then try to do his own material, but still as Sam Kinison.
Right.
Because at that era, I think it was like President Bush. Like, President Bush, what you doing? Oh! He would just list current figures and then scream.
Yeah.
People were walking out. The manager, they drove up in a custom van that said Screamin' Sam on the side of it.
Oh, my God.
The feature act was the world's youngest stand-up comedian, who was the road manager's son, who was saying very off-color jokes that you could tell his dad wrote.
Yeah.
And this kid was you could tell if he didn't do a good job, something bad was going to happen to him. Like, it was a weird vibe all around. Like seeing his dad's penis in the shower, and we're like, you're like 9.
Damn.
Why aren't you in school?
Oh, he was like 9?
Yeah, he was like a little kid.
Oh, my
And it's like,
God.
why are you, and you're just in a van with your dad and this guy who pretends to be Sam Kinison?
There's a movie.
So your whole idea, people about doing jokes, they're out there.
Yeah.
There's guys doing it.
Kinison was still alive when Screamin'
No. This was probably 2002.
Okay.
Yeah.
God, how long ago did Sam die?
I thought in the 80s.
Oh, shit.
Wasn't
Damn.
it in the 80s or was it 90s?
Maybe 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know Marin was hanging out with him here, and that would have been early 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they're out there. There's some
I think
third-tier comedy action happening in the world still.
Well, think about how much interest there is in stand-up comedy right now. Like, people that I've known for years are like, you know what I'm really into right now?
Yeah.
Stand-up comedy. Like, people are watching it. They're going to see it.
Yeah.
And you remember there was Behind the Music, and that was a huge hit. But nobody's done like a docu-series, and each episode is one comedian.
Vice was doing something, but they were going to, like, it's the same stories that you've heard. It's John Belushi, it's Richard Pryor. It's
Right.
like, oh, these are the ones we've all heard.
Oh, I saw that. It was fucking awful.
Yeah, how much, there's no meat left on the bone for
Yeah.
these stories. You really just.
It's gotta be the newer ones.
Dragging these, yeah.
But I mean, imagine an hour on, Bert Kreischer, or an hour on Theo Vaughn, or an hour on Dave Attell. Like, people that, are on the road, and you could follow them around for a few weeks. And
I get a little worried right now because I'm like, I'm getting like like 1990 Sunset Strip hair metal vibes out of comedy.
Like, the floor is about to fall out.
It's pretty bloated.
Yep.
It's not all great.
Nope.
And how long before the populace is like, I'm just not into this anymore. I still like some hair metal. I think there's legitimately good bands within that genre, but nobody touched it because the whole thing got poisoned. It was toxic,
Karaoke replaced comedy. So there's where we're at.
Yeah.
What's going to be the next karaoke? I don't know. Maybe it's people that DJ, like you get to be a DJ. You take turns DJing at the board. I don't know. But I know that what's hastening the demise of stand-up are bad comics doing crowd work and putting the clips online. It's brutal.
Yeah, there's a lot of mediocrity out there right now.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. If somebody, we're going to go see stand-up tonight. Nah, I saw enough of it on TikTok. I don't want to go do that. Like, when does that happen?
Right.
And there's great crowd work comedians out there, but it's the emulation that gets me mad. Like, people think that's all you have to do. Where are you from? Oh, this guy's got a crazy job. Yeah. Some of the clips, the audience member says the funniest thing, and the comedian's just like, what?
Yeah.
And then that's their clip. Like, that didn't showcase you.
Nope.
That didn't say anything about again, there's people that do it so well, that's why they make it look easy.
Yeah.
And then there's other people that I think it's completely made up
They're doing it because it's disposable. They don't have to put their material online. They can shoot. And so what happens is, on any given night in a comedy club, you got 4 different comics with their cameras on tripods, mining the audience to the point where the audience is like, hey, I paid to see comedy, not be on your fucking TikTok reel.
Yeah, I've often said I'm a comedian for introverts. I'm gonna leave you alone.
Yes.
If all you're doing is sitting there and laughing, sit in the front. I'm not gonna even make eye contact with you. It terrifies me. Yeah. Sometimes in a more playful mood, if it's kind of silly and it's natural, sure, but not to set out to, like, people didn't pay that money to come to the club to find out what this guy over here does for a living. Yeah. I should have enough material to fulfill that ticket price. Yes, it's lazy, and I do crowd work, but it's always like someone yelled out, so I engage them, or something happens in the room, or, you know, a cop drives by with a siren, and I say... The thing that's funny? Yeah, the thing that's funny. This guy's ride's here. Yeah, right. All right. I guess I stole that one from Sam Kinison. Yeah. That's, or I think it also teaches audiences in certain contexts, like, oh, they want crowd work, so I'm going to do that for them. Because, like, being a wrestling heel is okay. Being a bad guy for the better cause is okay. So, I'll be the guy that helps the show. And I think all these clips can be potentially teaching audiences that you should engage with a comic. Yeah. That pisses me off, too. Right. Who do you think are the great audience people? I'd say Harlan Williams is one of the best ever. I haven't seen him live in so long, but he's always made me laugh. He doesn't shit on people. No, he's just silly. He talks to you and he says silly things. And yeah. I think I kind of avoid looking at it. Like, I'm trying to think I've seen Todd Glass just fuck with an entire audience. Yeah. He did something magical where he, like, walked on stage at the Improv. It was like a weird song. And he just did his Todd, like, what is this song? Song is weird. Wait, no. You know, what if I walk on stage like this and play this song? And he goes off stage. Yeah. And then he walked on with, like, a stupid walk. Yeah. Okay, no, wait. And he just kept it. What if I walked on stage like this? And he did this for his entire set. Yeah. And I watched the whole audience kind of laugh and then get pissed at him. I love it. And then lose their minds that he stuck to the bit. And by the end, it was the greatest thing everybody saw that night. Amazing. Just being I can't do that with stage time yet. I still no, I wrote these jokes. I want to try these jokes. Yeah. I can't totally throw it away. Well, it's because Todd hasn't written those jokes. He's still doing the same jokes he's been doing, but he does them so well, and they're like jazz pieces. He'll take a bit he's done for years, but there'll be flourish, and he'll change it, and then the things that come up in the moment are like fucking genius. Yeah, and he's got a live band now. He always does a live band. Oh, does he? I remember seeing him at Zany's in Chicago, and he had like a CD with like 130 different tracks, sound effects on it. Yeah. And he'd be on stage. He'd be like, okay, track 47. And just and then play the wrong one. He's like, what are you doing? I said 47. Right. Never mind. Play 38. Yeah. Just to fuck with the sound guy. I'm sure it was just to fuck with the sound guy. The sound guy doesn't know, and he's panicking. And then he would fly into a city a day early. He'd go down on a dark night, and he would redo their entire lighting system. He'd spend the next day buying gels and buying different watt bulbs, and club owners fucking loved him. He would redo their lighting system. He would do it. I also did a show with him where he was like talking about that during his set, and the audience is like, we don't give a shit. Yeah. See, the problem is the light. See, the light's too striking over here. The audience is like, what? Yeah. Is this HGTV? What are we sign up for? Yeah. I don't know. Fucking with sound guys, I still, they're doing their job, but that story, that and a story about, I think it was Portland Helium, or I don't know where it was, but the sound guy had gotten fed up with whoever it was, like sound cues, and like the comic yelled at him. And it was after the first show on a Saturday, so there's still another one coming. He's going, oh yeah? And he just went and yanked all the cords out of the back of the soundboard and said, I quit. No Fuck shit. You. And just walked out. That's the funniest thing to me. Like, oh, you're mad about the sound? Yoink. There's 30 cables on the ground and like, peace. That's a badass way to quit a job. On a Saturday with one more show to go.
Late show.
Oh, that one made me laugh a lot. I don't know where that guy is, but I salute him.
Because it's a pretty low impact job. A sound guy at a comedy club. It's not like a band where you're mixing or anything like that. It's one microphone, turn it on, adjust the levels depending on which act is on, and you're done. That's it. Unless you got Todd Glass in that weekend.
Yeah, I forget who it was. It was somebody with a lot of sound cues. But we play music venues, and the sound guys at music venues are so happy when it's a comedy show.
Yeah.
They're like,
right.
Make my wage.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. We got it made. When you think about bands touring and having to get 5 people to the gig, plus sound technicians, plus equipment, and then splitting the money, and then we just show up and we don't even bring a mic. We don't even bring that.
Yeah. It's so street. And then, I mean, obviously the ease with which you can like launder money through a comedy club is not a secret. And that was kind of the model in the 80s and everything.
Yeah.
But just as a business, get people in. They have to order quietly. They can't really complain. Just here's your drinks. Here's everything.
Yeah.
Gratuities added.
We're forcing you to get at least 2 of them.
Yeah. Also, servers in a comedy club, it's dark. Here's a tray of open drink. Like that gives me anxiety.
What do you mean?
I've never waited tables or anything.
Yeah.
I'm clumsy. And the fact that it's not only it's in the dark and silently weaving through people like a tray of drinks and drunks that are like, and I've been that guy. Like I realized right away, like, oh, let me help, and you go to take your own drink off the tray. It's like it's balanced.
Yeah. Right.
So kudos to them.
Yeah, they make bank though. I was talking to somebody at another club. This woman said that they walk out of there with at least $1,000 a night.
No shit.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I mean, that's probably 2 shows, but $1,000 a night, and it's a lot of that shit is cash.
Yeah.
And most of them like. Even at clubs that you see the same wait staff for a decade. They love it. Even if they get a full-time job doing something else, they keep that shift on Friday and Saturday night because they're making $1,000 a night, and they're like, fuck it.
I always breaks me heart when you ever see like the wait staff mouth the words to the jokes the guys saying on stage and they've heard it so many times. I'm like,
I've seen that.
It kills me. Like I'll ruin the set because I want to do new material just because I know the wait staff has heard the jokes. I'm like, these are new ones. I want to change it up the way. Now, how about the people that paid money to be here?
Yeah.
How about you do the best show for them?
Yeah.
Not like servers heard this bit already.
No, I think it's where comedians' reputations get made because. The waitresses talk to other comedians and they go, oh, so-and-so's a hack or, they're doing the same shit over and over again.
You get booked if the waitstaff likes you as a person, not being a creep, and as a comic.
Right.
Because they got to hear that shit 5 times that weekend. And they're still like, we had a good time.
And as a tipper. Some guys don't tip the waitstaff.
Tip the green room,
Yeah, tip the green room. Or if you're Dave Attell, tip every single person on the staff.
Really?
Oh,
Straight up throws cash at each person?
Louie does that too. Louie will give a big amount of money and tell them to all split it up at the end of the weekend. Yeah.
Well, if I get to that Madison Square Garden level, maybe I'll start throwing a little more cash around. But right now, I'm just tipping the green room server.
I just tip the green room server. That's it. And I know that when Joe would park his car here at the store, he'd give the attendant $100. Every night he'd come in and give the attendant $100.
Yeah.
I mean, why not? If you had that much money, what kind of an asshole would you be not to give $100 to the parking attendant?
Well, also, based on what kind of car you're parking.
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah, you know how much that car is.
Yeah.
Here's $5.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I know what you're paying for this.
Yeah,
you can throw $100 around.
Yeah. That's a thing in one of the Scandinavian countries now when they give you a moving violation, the police... It's based on the value of your car. So if you're in a Prius, it's a $50 ticket. Because it is disproportionately, insanely high to pay $300 for a ticket and then get points on your license that's going to add another 1,000 over the next few years.
Yeah.
And you're just some poor bastard that you're a landscaper or something.
Why does Scandinavia have to be so cold? Because everything else seems ideal over there. Everything seems to be nailing it except for that.
Every time
Arctic
they bring up an example,
shit,
it's like, they got universal health coverage in Denmark. And it's like, you know why? Because Denmark owns Greenland, which is a fucking giant oil reserve.
Yeah.
And a lot of the Scandinavian countries own oil offshore. So they're able to float these kind of socialist ideas.
Okay.
Yeah, so don't ever trust the comparison to Denmark.
I still want the healthcare. I don't care where they're getting it from. I just want the healthcare.
Right. Well, we've got the oil reserves, but we'd say it's not going to us.
Yeah.
It's going to the big oil companies.
Yeah, it's almost like things are backwards. I was in Australia for 3 weeks, and I'm like, oh, this is what it looks like when you take care of your infrastructure.
Yeah.
And don't let billboards cover everything. And
yeah.
Everybody, they're saying, like, especially in extreme sports now, like America's falling behind because places where you have health care, like, oh, yeah, you could be 9 years old. And like, yeah, go snowboard off this mountain.
Oh, no shit.
We can afford to fix you.
Oh, that's hilarious.
we can't afford to do that for athletes here.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. How was, like, the general vibe of the people? You think they're happier there than here?
I mean, I know they have everywhere has their issues, but it does seem like demeanor-wise, people are just better off. It just seems like I think quality of life cost of living is very high. At least in Melbourne, is really high.
Yeah.
And I was only on the east coast of Australia. I didn't get out into the bush or what have you. But it is like it's one. You go to those places where it's like I think people's demeanors make them attractive. Like even the ugly people were hot because everybody's just having a good time.
Right.
Everybody's spirit is full. But after some big like cross-city Aussie rules football game with like the new team, basically like if the Cubs and the Sox played in the same city. I was playing comedy. It was Brisbane, and in that city afterwards, on the main strip where everybody's like fall down drunk, but they're falling down trying to make sure their beer can goes in the trash. I'm like,
yeah.
Oh, you care about the place you live in.
Yeah.
Whichever team you're rooting for. I'm like,
yeah.
Marketing.
Yeah, I could see we talked before the show about my plans for retirement and just how long that's going to take. I think it is a race between death and retirement. I don't know which one's going to happen first, but we'll see.
I've been opening sets by saying, like, anybody else's retirement plan just revolve around not living that long. It's like, yeah, what am I saving for? I just spend it now and then hope I don't crack 65.
You start calling your mom. Hey, did you sock money away, or what exactly did you do?
What do you guys? How did you guys plan it out? Oh, you could just afford a house when you bought the house.
Yeah.
I just I always joke about like how science is all real bad. It's bad news, but then there's always one scientist. It's like we figured out how to make you live longer. Like nobody wants that right now.
Yeah, right.
Nobody's asking for more of this.
Yes.
Like you're gonna live till 150, but you're gonna eat cat food for the last 70 years.
Yeah, a robot's gonna be doing your job for longer.
Yeah, I don't have
before.
The money for longevity.
Dude, have you followed any of this AI stuff in terms of it replacing jobs and AI chatbot GPA or whatever?
GPT. Yeah, there's a theory called the Great Filter, and it's like why haven't we met more intelligent life form in the universe? And it's basically that any civilized society will eventually create the means of its own undoing, and they're starting to point to all the AI like this might be it.
Really?
Now, every generation's freaked out about something and thought it's been the end.
Yeah.
But it's like, the guys that created the stuff are being like, we need to slow down.
Yeah, I saw
it's
that.
Bad news.
Yeah.
Like maybe when the guys who made it are like, no, don't stop making this stuff.
Well, I think the difference is with technology in the past, starting with like the Industrial Revolution, the society was able to kind of see where it was going and regulate it. But it's happening so fast now that, like, say Bitcoin or something like that, we don't have anything in place to keep Bitcoin from being used for sexual trafficking or, ransoms or whatever it is. And we will never catch up now. It's so far beyond us and moving exponentially faster that we're just standing there watching it go.
Yeah. I think it's funny, like, I kidnapped somebody, give us Bitcoin. I'm like, I don't have Bitcoin. Like, what? You got to pick something else, man. I don't know what to do. I can't get you that. I got
a brown bag full of cash.
Yeah.
How about
somewhere? I'll just plain old money.
Yeah.
Just the plain old money part of things.
Right.
That's another like, and I'm butchering all these ideas, trying to sound smart, but like Moore's law is like the idea that technology, like advancement, will grow exponentially. Like it took X amount of time to get from the agricultural revolution to the industrial revolution, and then it took half that amount of time to get to the technological. So now it's getting half and half and half. And again, it's everything's speeding up, and we're not maintaining a way to control it and keep up with it. And that's the scary. Like, and the AI is like, okay, well, if AI decides people are what's in the way of AI expanding, how do you unteach the robot?
Yeah.
There's been enough movies about that already.
And I just finished, my son's graduating college in a couple weeks, and my daughter's a sophomore, and they don't know what they want to do. And I go, well, what you're going to do doesn't exist right now. The jobs that you're going to be doing are being thought of and will start to come to fruition. I always said to them, be a good writer, because they're never going to replace that. Those are my golden words. I must have said that to them 100 times in their life. And that was bad advice. So
how crazy is this writer's strike is like against robots?
Yeah.
This would be a silly sketch idea 15 years ago.
Yep.
Robots are taking our jobs. We're on strike. Now it's a real thing. That's happening out there now.
We should set up strike lines that have robots carrying signs, because I'm not going out there.
You want to automate the picket line?
Yes, why not?
Just signs
At
on the
least the
track.
messages. This sign written by ChatGPT. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about I'm sorry we haven't talked about your album at all.
I forgot about talking about it.
Are
I've been talking about it plenty.
you sick of talking about it?
I'll talk about it now. I want people to see it.
It's called Shocks and Struts.
Yeah.
I saw it. I've always loved your stand-up, but
man.
it's great. And it actually made me think about crowd work comedians, because I was like, look at this guy who is just driving through good fucking material that looks like it's been done. You've hammered it out.
Yeah. I like doing comedy.
Yeah.
I like coming up with jokes. Mm-hmm. I don't like it when they don't work, but I like that is still a possibility, and that this is still a challenging thing.
Yeah.
So I don't have the gear of like, I'm just going to go up there and dick around.
Right.
No, I have these things that I want these to work,
Is it different writing jokes up in Oregon where you're not doing as much stage time as here?
Not really, because, there's still at least a show every night of the week and open mics. And they have the Helium Comedy Club up there. And
Great club.
It's a great club.
Yeah.
And they got shows every night. And I'm working the road a ton. So, you get 5 hours on a weekend of stage time that you can get new bits in and get 5 repetitions on that bit. So even when I was here, if I had 2 spots in a week and then would go out on the weekends, that was enough for me.
Yeah, right.
I was just in New York, and I don't know how those guys, they work the road, then they come back and they're doing 4 sets a night.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't like myself or hate myself enough to do that much comedy.
It is one extreme or the other, isn't it?
I get comedy from not being at a comedy show.
Exactly.
That's where you have to get the comedy from, is living your life. Right. Then you can go. Yeah. If all you're doing is comedy,
Yeah. And I think you're seeing that with podcasts too. It's like there's some people that are doing stand-up and podcasting, and they have no significant other in their life. They don't have hobbies, and I don't know what they talk about. And then you see people that, Rogan's a great example of a guy who has so many passionate interests, and he tells you about elk hunting with a bow and arrow or MMA or whatever the things he talks about. And even if you don't know about those things, you get Bill Burr. He goes on his podcast and talks about fucking Boston sports teams for an hour. And it's interesting because he gives a shit about it. And he knows about it.
What do you give a shit about?
I think my family has been consuming for me for the last 20 years. I've spent, a lot of time and energy focusing on them. And I think my father was not a good father. And it was that was my goal in life, was to be involved. And so coaching teams, taking them on trips, being around for every holiday and birthday and all that. And And so I think that's what I talk about a lot. And then I think I talk about my community in Venice a lot, like the people I hang out with and the things we do, because we do a lot of shit together.
Okay, you're a townie.
Yeah, I'm kind of a townie.
Venice townie.
Yeah.
Wasn't that Will Arnett show set in Venice? Did you watch that?
Yeah, it was based on my buddy Dennis, who they called Dennis, the mayor of Venice, and the Will's character was based on him. He had the beach cruiser with the basket and the dog running along next to him at the paddle tennis courts in every episode.
Just cruising around.
Everywhere you go with Dennis, any bar, restaurant, store, everybody knows him. And so they built a show around him, and he was actually a consultant on the show.
Oh, that's cool. All right.
Yeah.
Because that was like the idea I got about Venice. It's like everybody kind of knows each other.
Yeah,
That's a good thing to have, a sense of community. People don't celebrate. Like comedians talk about comedy. That's what happens.
Yeah. Right.
And I fuck. I still want to talk about Gallagher, too, and I want to talk about guy pulling the cords on the soundboard. But
yeah. So what are your passions?
Mountain
biking, right?
But I suck at it. I can't talk about it like I know what's going on.
Right.
It's just a thing that I do.
Yeah.
I've been attracted to things. I think that's why I like stand-up is like I can just suck at it by myself. I'm not bringing down teammates or bandmates or anything else. So bikes and skateboards and comedy, it's like, well, if I do good, I get all the rewards. If I do bad, that's all on me too. Right, but at least I'm not messing up anybody else's schedule.
Yeah.
But
you seem like you know a lot about music too.
Yeah, I played in bands, but again, I'm not good at these things.
Yeah.
I'm good for me. I make myself happy with the effort that I put into it. Comedy's the only thing that it's like I still, especially with what I see as like this kind of bloat happening. How do I make sure like I'm still relevant when this thing maybe blows up all over again like it did? Because I started you started in...
I started in like 89.
Okay, so you caught
I caught the end of the first boom.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I started in 99 when it was not a cool thing at all. And it was desolate. So it was this cool little underground thing that people were doing. But it wasn't even cool. It's still like kind of nerdy.
Right.
But I was like, oh, this is it.
Yeah.
So this is the thing that I care about. I will talk about comedy, unfortunately. But.
Yeah. I mean, I love it. I love seeing some young people coming up. And there's a few comics that I bring on the road with me that are full of hope and passion, and they like the right comedians. And who's
your hopeful guys? Who are you bringing?
Jacob Feldman is this guy. You've never heard of him. These are people that are just working like locally, and then I bring them out, and like for them to do 20 minutes is like a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, and they treasure the stage time, and if you give them a little bit of money, they're just like, thank you so much.
All right.
That's the best part about these guys.
They have no idea what they should be making. That's the best part. Cheap labor.
But it's also great when I go on the road and I don't bring somebody with me. If I go to like Chicago or Boston or Portland, I'm not going to bring somebody, Denver, because there's a great comedy community there. Yeah. And I love meeting those comics.
Yeah.
You know?
I remember going to Denver for the first time to headline Comedy Works and seeing like the people that were on before me. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Right.
Like, is this a joke?
Yeah. They're all headliners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just makes you do. Anybody that opens for me, I'm like, yeah, your job should be to try and bury me.
Yes.
Not like with tricks. Like, don't just work blue or do whatever your act is. But you should definitely try to like bury me.
Yes.
Like, you should have the best set of your life.
Right.
And featuring's the best time you're ever going to have.
It's the sweet spot. They're warmed up already.
People don't know you, so there's no expectations. You don't have to close the show.
You only got to do 20 minutes.
Yeah. It's the best time. You should try and
you should not do crowd work. Because, again, I don't do a ton of crowd work, but I hate it when I don't watch the feature set every night, and then I go, oh, so sir, you were clapping. Are you from the...
Yeah.
And everybody starts like, hey, you already talked to him. Oh, all right. Well, fuck me. I guess I won't talk to anybody now.
Which is the route that I take every night.
Right. It's a safe way to go.
Anybody. Yeah.
Safe way to go.
You paid money to hear me. I'll make sure my thoughts are valuable enough.
Right. So why do you call the special shocks and struts?
I just thought it was funny.
All right.
Because it was like... I mean, you don't have to think it's funny. I thought it's like a double entendre, you know?
Yes.
I saw it on the side of a muffler shop.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it's also like a cocky thing to do it. So
shocking and strutting.
Dual, double, and you know.
And that's the artwork on the album, right? It's the shocks and struts.
Yeah, I picked some old clip. I was trying to get a garage door painted with the lettering, but didn't get it together in time.
And then you got some tour dates coming up. You're going to be in Astoria, Oregon, Bloomington, Indiana, Portland, Oregon, St. Louis, Missouri, Toronto. And you're just back from Australia. You leaving the country again?
Just Canada right now. I'm supposed to have some UK dates, but those got shifted around.
Is that a place you've played much?
I try to get out there every few years.
Yeah.
I don't know why they don't like me. I never do well there.
Really?
I romanticize the idea of like crushing in a foreign land. Australia, I do. I have a good time. Let's put it that way. I'm not a huge draw, but I have a good time.
Yeah.
And I would like to crack London open.
Yeah,
you know?
that'd be nice. It is a cool place because you have people like, Hendrix, who they didn't get here, and then he goes over to London and blows up, and the Who are coming out to see him, and Clapton's coming out to see him, and then he kind of comes back. I think Hicks was like that too. I think Hicks was big in London before he was big here. Yeah.
I know Stanhope gets out. Well, he gets everywhere.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know if he's big or if he's just got such a loyal, following of maniacs that they'll come see him.
Rich Hall. Remember Rich Hall?
Rich Hall.
Really big in England.
As what was his country act?
He did a Sniglets thing.
He did Sniglets. I remember, I just got an email from Rich Hall maybe 3 weeks ago.
No shit.
Asking to do some gig in Montana where he lives.
Wow.
And I was just like, I'd never met him. And I was like, let me just say, very happy to open my inbox and see an email from Rich Hall.
That's amazing.
About just doing some theater that's by his ranch or something.
Yeah.
I haven't heard back from him. I don't think he's got a lot of methods of communication.
Yeah, that's nice to be in Montana and be that off the grid. But he was huge, I think, all around Europe and Australia. Sometimes the guys that are a little bit smarter go over better overseas than here.
Well, that's not my case.
That's my point.
Stay home, Kinane.
Maybe Deep South would be good for you.
Do your little puppet act through Texas. They might dig it.
I think there's some factory towns in the Northeast that might dig your shit.
He's not racist. The puppet's racist, so it's okay.
Also, the podcast. You have 2 podcasts?
We just retired the Boogie Monster today, actually.
Did.
Yeah,
Today?
We just had our last episode.
Wow.
Yeah, it's 7 years. Me and my buddy Dave Stone just doing this every week, and we finally all right, maybe we gotta move on to some greener pastures.
Wow.
But I got no accounting for taste with my buddy Shane Torres.
I love Shane Torres.
Shane is a big old sweetheart.
Yeah, and you got a brand new episode came out yesterday.
Yeah, we try to be positive about subjects that people talk shit. That's what I was talking about Insane Clown Posse. We defended Insane Clown Posse.
Yeah. Do they need defending?
Yeah, they were listed as a gang by the FBI.
I thought you meant by music people.
Oh, no, just in general, their existence and everything. We tried to do Kid Rock. That was tough.
Yeah.
Turns out he does fight for fair ticket prices.
That's good.
So that's the thing we're real. I'm I think Kid Rock's ridiculous and his music's bad, his politics are even worse. But then you learn about these things all right, the point of the podcast, let's stick up for Kid Rock.
Right.
He fights for lower ticket prices.
Yeah.
He's very charitable. I'm
his town loves him. He's good to his town.
I guess so.
Yeah. That's good. I like that. Spinning it positive.
Trying.
Before we go, we do a thing called Fastballs with Fitz.
Okay.
I didn't think of it.
Are you sure?
I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you a few quick questions.
All right.
I asked all the comedians the same questions.
All right.
What's the hackiest bit you ever did?
Oh man, I talked about how Like if I had crabs, I didn't go to a clinic. I would watch Red Lobster commercials with my pants off and be like, see, that's what we do to your cousins. It's not bad, right?
It's fantastic.
that was my first jokes I ever wrote.
That's great. Have you ever not finished a set?
I think I have walked off stage. I can't remember right now. I think I have the memory of being like, well, fuck this.
Yeah,
but I can't remember specifically.
Right. Okay.
I've written it out more times where I maybe shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes there's like, what's the point of this show?
There is a great satisfaction to fucking grinding out a bad one, though. You know, when you come off stage and you go like, they didn't win. You know.
It's been more like is it at a festival or something where people aren't even looking at the stage?
Yeah, that's
so I'm
true.
like, oh, this isn't
Right.
a comedy show. This is like they just think I'm testing the mic.
Yeah.
But nothing. I can't think of it in any terms of like a headlining set or anything. Nothing that I can remember.
You're the first person that's ever not remembered a set that they've walked off on. I think that has a lot to do with the fact that you don't turn it over to the audience. That you maintain control of the show the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, I've done the bad shows, but it's like, all right, I'm obligated to do this much time.
Yeah.
I'll do that much time. I mean, I think I've come up short on showcase sets that were loud, but I can't think of anything where I was like, fuck you guys.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I did cut a set 10 minutes short.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Opening for the Impractical Jokers.
Well, that counts. That counts.
Okay.
What happened?
I just ran through my half-hour set.
Oh, you
minutes.
didn't bail.
No, I just bombed.
Yeah.
I had my set all planned out, accounted for laughs. There were none.
Yeah.
12,000 people at an outdoor, yeah.
Damn.
It's where I saw Lollapalooza in 1994, where I actually saw the Beastie Boys. Still one of the best live performances I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But I got on stage and I'm like, it's kind of a weird fit, but we have, similar working, like some of the behind the scenes people for them are my people. So I was like, yeah, I'll get you on this gig.
Yeah.
And it was back in Chicago at the World Music Theater.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I actually saw Lollapalooza here. I fell asleep in those seats right there during the Smashing Pumpkins, and a woman with 2 beers in the front row just goes, fuck you, that was a great show, and sat down. And I just basically, there just became 12,000 of her.
Yeah.
And I was like, here's my jokes, fuck you, I'm out of here. I just realized I ran through my set quicker than I planned on.
That's great.
But I let him get me.
What have you turned down recently?
What have I turned down?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're really knocking my door down for opportunities. They're really making the trip up to Oregon.
Well, you talked about in your special doing Zoom comedy.
Oh, yeah. Well, I did turn down, there was that show about the Lakers that came out.
Yeah.
And I had just, it was my third rescheduling of this tour, because that was 21. Summer of 21. I'm out on the road. Third time of rescheduling because of COVID. You're asking so much of people that bought tickets a year and a half ago. Like, all right, we moved it again. Can you make? And so finally it was locked down, and I had, the agent call me. Like, hey, so they got this part for you. They want you to be in. It's not a speaking role, but you'd be like the team masseuse or something. But you'd be in the background, but you'd be in it.
Uh-huh.
They like you. They want to give you the work.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's hear this out. The background. I'm 5'8". I'm going to be in the background of a movie that's about basketball players. And it's not a speaking role. And you want me to reschedule a tour that this is the third iteration. Yeah. No.
That's hilarious.
And the guy he pulled the most agent-y bull, like, fine, Kyle. You know what? You don't want to be in an HBO show? Yeah. That's okay. You don't want to be in an HBO show. Yeah. I get it. You're telling me you don't want to be in an HBO show. That's exactly what I'm telling you. Get bent. The only reason I'm with that agency is because my comedy agent. I bust my ass with comedy. The rest of these guys, you're not going to pull this. entourage horse shit with me.
Right.
You don't want to be in an HBO show?
Yeah.
Get fucked.
Yeah.
If somebody, like now, if somebody asked me that and I didn't have anything going on,
Sure.
absolutely.
Why not?
But I stopped, even a couple years before the pandemic, I was like, this town makes you think you want something that you don't want, and then you're sad because you didn't get the thing you didn't want in the first place.
Yeah.
And so they're like, yeah, we got an audition for you. It's in Santa Monica. And it's at 5 p.m. on a Friday. I'm like, well, that's great. I hope whoever gets the role is grateful, because I'm not going to do that.
Right.
I'm going to go do stand-up, and
Yeah.
then all day I'm going to ride my bike and play my guitar.
Yeah. I love it. All right, Kyle Kinane, we can't tell people enough. Shocks and Struts, it's great. It's on YouTube. It's produced by 800-Pound Gorilla. Mm-hmm. And if you want to listen to it, I guess you can go to Spotify and all that stuff, right?
I don't even know if it's on Spotify. I guess just put it on YouTube. And
just on YouTube. We'll get those clicks going. You get some big numbers. We're proud of you.
Doing all right. Thanks.
And we'll, how much longer are you in LA?
Just a couple more days.
Okay.
Yeah.
Enjoy.
I'm around.
All right. God bless.